Here's who this guy is, right? Don't worry about him. I'm not even gonna just watch enough of it. I just got one more here. Not even gonna talk about it here, just. This guy in the blonde hair is a blocker. And you think you could teach this shit? I couldn't. But Tunch can, okay? So, this gentleman played 10 years with the Steelers, and you think he made all pro now. When you see him, you know what to say, he's on the diet. So, here's Tunch Punch.
Tunch was in broadcasting. I think he can handle it.
Good morning. Can y'all hear me? I'm going to ask you guys to do me a favor. First of all, Jim McNally is my agent, as you can see. Now, a couple of years ago, 2 years ago, I've been out of the game. I retired in '93. I was a rookie in '88. Played 14 years. And when I was playing back in the late '70s, early '80s, a lot of guys were experimenting with martial arts and trying to become better football players. I know Bob Ward was training Randy White, Too Tall Jones, and Harvey Martin. They were doing a lot of stuff. One of the things they were doing was Kali and Wing Chun, which is kind of trapping hand techniques and stick fighting and knife fighting. Really interesting stuff. When I first came in the league, I was 240 pounds, and I wasn't very good, and I was getting tossed around a lot. I was small and slow and your typical non-athlete. So I was looking for an edge, and I know a lot of guys were doing a lot of the martial arts, and I was thinking, how can I get that edge, and how can I get better? Well, I got involved in a traditional Taekwondo program, and to be honest with you, I got to kick better, and I got to do a spinning back fist better, but there was no carryover to the football field. And I met a guy by the name of Sarge Edwards, who was a little bitty guy, 160 pounds, 6'1", but this guy was an animal. And this guy was the toughest man I have ever met in my life, and I'm not one to say that I get intimidated easy by anybody, but this guy I would not want to mess with. And he saw me and Craig Wolfley. We were training with this martial arts guy, and Sarge comes up to me after the workout, and he said, "Are you trying to become a good martial artist, or do you want to become a good offensive lineman?" I said, "Well, that's easy. I really don't care about being a martial artist. I just want to get better." And he said, "Well, I'm going to teach you a program that will teach you to punch better, that will teach you to use your feet better, that will teach you to generate more power for your body on the field, and there will be direct carryover. You will be able to use it on the field. You won't just be playing and doing these kicks and katas and stuff, but you will be able to jack people on the football field." And as I started working, the first time I trained with him, we started working on punching. And the first thing he said to me, and this is how it got my attention, is he goes, "You hit like a girl." And I said, "Wait a second." He goes, "You hit like a girl." I go, "Well, show me how it's done." He said, "You offensive linemen are all the same." He said, "You guys push because you push. You're pushing." He says, "You're not hitting anybody." He said, "You guys do all this stuff to improve fast twitch muscle fibers in your lower body, do plyometrics with your legs, quick movements, explosive with your legs. But he said, the only thing you do for your upper body is you try to put a ton of weight on and bench press." And he was right. And as he was taking me through the workout, I found out real quick that I had no muscular endurance in my upper body, and I really had no penetrating power. And so, as I was working and I was gassing and he was busting my chops and telling me that I couldn't hit, I said, "Well, I made my first mistake." I said, "Show me how you do it." And so he says, "Well, you stand there." He says, and we were showing, this is how we punch. We try to punch with our open palms and into the chest. Well, he says, "All right, you stand there and you feel it." And I'm not kidding you. First thing he said, "You punch me as hard as you can." Well, I punched him. He's 160 pounds. Through the workout, I found out real quick that I had no muscular endurance in my upper body, and I really had no penetrating power. And so, as I was working and I was gassing and he was busting my chops and telling me that I couldn't hit, I said, well, I made my first mistake. I said, show me how you do it. And so he says, well, you stand there. He says, and we were showing, this is how we punch. We try to punch with our open palms and into the chest. Well, he says, all right, you stand there and you feel it. And I'm not kidding you. First thing he said, you punch me as hard as you can. Well, I punched him. He's 160 pounds, and I was about 260 when I first started training this. And I punched him, and he just did like this. I said, okay, now you show me. Well, he punched me so hard it felt like he shoved my heart into my back. I mean, my chest literally felt like it caved in. And I was thinking to myself, geez, I want to do this. How am I going to, this guy's a little bitty guy. The only thing that saved me from hitting the back of my head on the ground was the wall that he punched me into. And I'm not lying, I went boom. It felt like I got hit by a shotgun blast. I was literally taken off my feet. And the first thing I thought of was, geez, now if I could generate half that power, okay, for my body that Sarge does for his body, man, I might have something here. Well, like I said, back then a lot of guys were doing the martial arts stuff, so I started hanging out with Sarge. Now, if you ask me what's the most important thing about pass locking, I will tell you hands. To me, the guy with the best hands wins. Hands down. You could bucket step, you could be too high, you could be leaning, but if you get your hands in there and you get a good jam on a defensive lineman, you're going to win. You're going to get your hands inside. So as I started training with Sarge, and I want to ask you guys to help me out here. Normally, I don't lecture this. When I teach this, I'm working with guys on the field or in the gym, and I need you to be interactive with me. I don't know about you, but why is very big for me. All right, why is very important. I want to know why we're doing things. So while I'm talking here, if you don't understand something, ask me. And the first way that we broke, the first part of the program, let me tell you what the program is broken down into 5 parts. The first part is punching and punching power. The second part is called centerline training. The third part is sensitivity training. The fourth part is trapping. The fifth part is the footwork. All right, and it's all intertwined, but I'm going to break it up into sections as we go along. And what you saw Max guys doing was kind of a combination of all of it. Where's Dougie Marone at? All right, Dougie, when I need you, would you please come up and help me demonstrate? The first thing, as a matter of fact, Doug, would you mind coming down here so that way you can come up here? Dougie and I were with the Steelers together in '89, and so he said he would be my partner in some of this things. The first thing that Sarge taught me to do in punching is I wanted to generate power in the punch. First thing I found out was, as an offensive lineman, I was more concerned with bench pressing, and I thought that's how you punched, by having your elbows out and just power, bringing it from here and just throwing it. What it was like a push. Doug, just please come up here. So when I first started punching, I would come out and I would punch, okay? And as you notice, I'm punching with a flat hand. All right. The problem with a flat hand is that when I punch, the power dissipates throughout the body. The first thing Sarge told me is you want to hit with the heel of your hand, because when that power dissipates, you're losing a lot of that energy. So the first thing he got me working on was improving the flexibility in my hands. All right, that's something that I don't have a lot of, and most offensive linemen don't. But you want to get your fingers out of the way, and you want to concentrate with this portion of the hand, the heel of the hand. So just get a feel of that, because when your elbows are in and your hand is extended and that heel is exposed, believe it or not, and I didn't believe this at first, it took me getting hit about 20 or 30 times by Sarge. Now, I'm not the smartest guy in the world, so I figured out eventually that is where the power comes from. So now, the first thing that I wanted to do was I wanted to really punch hard and with my hand, but I was getting no penetration. When I started punching with Sarge, I started using the heel of my hand. Now, I want you guys to, come on, let's come over here in the middle. When I hit, you see that I really don't jack it, okay? When I hit with my hand, my elbows are out, I'm getting a dissipation. Now, I take that same punch, but I rotate my elbow in, and I put my fingers up, and now, when I hit him, there's a penetrating blow. You saw a little bit difference in his head. Now, his head doesn't really move here. When I hear that, the head snaps, all right? And so, if you ask Doug, did that feel different on Tunch Punches?
Yes.
All right. When you have it's like a knifing motion. When you hit the heel of your hand, you're penetrating, and my first thought was, well, hey guys, hey Sarge, they're wearing shoulder pads, he's got a breastplate, it's not going to penetrate. He goes, put the shoulder pads on. Like I said, I'm not too bright, I keep asking for punishment. All right, and so he says, now you come pass rush me, and I'm telling you, you will feel this through a breastplate on a shoulder pad. It will penetrate even the shoulder pad. The next thing he taught me was that I was carrying my hands too low, okay? Most guys, and early in my career, I wanted to punch from right here. This is where I was most comfortable. Well, he said, Tunch, I think you'd be better off if you carried your hands a little higher. And I said, why? And he said, first of all, when your hands are lower, and as my career started to progress, the smart defensive linemen did not like getting their chest punched out, so they started going, okay, I want to work his hands. Now, who would you hold your hands up, please? Normal, like normal. When your hands are this low, all right, and I'm a defensive lineman, and I come in, and I don't know how much of you see in college or high school, but in the NFL, this is a very big move. Down. Okay, down. Getting the hand down. Now when your hands are that low, and I grab them, okay, now they're pinned in your chest, they're doing you no good at all. Sarge told me to pick my hands up and place them right about eye level. Would you please put them up about eye level? See now, if I come down and I pull his hand down, I'm actually pulling him into a better punching position with more power. You know, the low hands, you get knocked down, they're no good. You carry them a little bit higher, and all of a sudden now you knock them down, and they're right in position where you want to punch. The second thing he told me, the reason about that, is please keep your hands up again, is this is the way boxers train. Okay? If any of you guys have ever fought, boxers like to keep their hands, or fundamentally, what boxers want to do is they want to keep their eye level over their hands. And it's kind of like playing a video game. If you go to the arcade and you play one of those space games where you're blowing up cities and other airplanes and stuff, what happens? You've got a couple of sights, you want to line the sights up with your target. Well, when you carry your hands a little higher and you're seeing over your fingertips, your hands are actually seeing. One of the things that Sarge used to say is, see with your hands. And when you're keeping your hands at this eye level, so now whatever movement I'm making, if I'm coming over with a club, or if I'm swimming, as you see the movement a little bit quicker because you're looking through your hands. Now I am still boring a hole in the chest of the man as far as what my initial aiming point is, but I'm looking over my hands, so I'm seeing his whole body, and I'm really seeing the square area, okay? The square area where whatever move, whether it's the club, whether it's the rip, or whether it's the bull rush, I am seeing that square area through my hands. So whatever comes at me, that's when I'm firing the punch. The other thing, put your hands up there. The other thing that Sarge told me was, you have to realize that the punch, the power of the punch is generated not from the upper body, not from the deltoids and the chest and the triceps, but to get real good penetration, it's got to be generated from the lats. Okay? It's got to be generated from lats. It's not from the hips where you're jumping on your feet, but it's generated from the lats. Please put your hands up once again. So I want you to get your elbows in and your hands up. And also, here's another thing. You don't got to keep your hands by your side. One of the problems that I had early in my career is I wanted all my movements to be very grossly exaggerated. So I'm punching all the way over here, and then I was punching to a full extension. Well, Sergeant said, that's garbage. That ain't going to help you any. He said, all you need to do is lock it. Okay? So what you want to do is start with a bent arm about this much, and I don't know what that is in degrees, never was very good at math. And you want to extend maybe 2 to 3 inches. So you're coming here and you're coming out, but you're never extending to full extension. So let me show you now. Okay, so I'm coming in here. When he comes into the movement, I'm punching, and I'm not extending more than that. I'm starting out here, come again, boom, and I'm coming and I'm extending right back to the point. So it's an extension to not full extension. You don't ever want to go complete extension, because the further you get out, the more strength you lose. This is where you are strongest, most powerful, and most compact. That's when you get the most penetration in your punch. Key is getting your elbows. One thing that happens is when you start working this, the elbows, it's a real conditioning bear. I mean, when I work Jimmy's guys out, I mean, they were stuck in some serious air. Guys are not used to doing endurance type punching, endurance movements with their upper bodies. They start gassing. But you know what? You don't realize, or I didn't realize that I didn't start doing it correctly till I was completely gassed. See, because my triceps, my biceps, and my delts are going to burn out way before my lats will, because they're smaller muscle groups. All right, and so one of the things that we start doing, we've got the hand placement a little bit higher, got the elbows in. What happens, the tendency is, when you start working in endurance, is the elbows want to drift out. The guys, their elbows, it just happens. And it's very important that you work on your flexibility, trying to get your elbows together, because most offensive linemen have these huge chests, and it's almost an impossibility for them. So we would work some drills. Hold on. What I'm going to show you is, if you have a shield or if you have a heavy bag, you can do this. I want you to hold it up to your chest. We would work, the thing that we needed to, that we were doing was, we were working on punching for endurance and punching for penetration and for power. The only way you can do this is rep it over and over and over and over again. So we can follow a simple formula going 15 seconds on, 15 seconds off, 15 for 3 sets, and then let the next guy do it, and keep going back and forth. And the initial part is just working. And now the best way to do this is to work it on not do it on a person, but do it. I don't want to do it on this wall. I don't know how scared it is. But if Dougie's pretend this is held up against the wall, all right. So it's my turn. I'm up. I'm punching for 15 seconds as hard as fast as I can. All right. And I'm using. This will develop the muscular endurance, because once again, we want to be able to punch on the first play of the game, and we want to be able to punch on the last play of the game. Now, if you look around football today, there are not a lot of guys who like to punch, because they're afraid. I've heard this 100 times, and I've trained with I don't know how many guys over the years. While I was playing, guys would always come up to me and they'd say, "What is that you were doing? What's that punch stuff? You want to train together." And I'm a guy, I love to teach this stuff. I think it is the greatest. And so we'd start working out. And this is the question I would get all the time. But I'm afraid to punch. What if I miss? Well, my mindset was this. I'm afraid not to punch. All right? At 265 pounds, if I try to grab a cloth and dance with somebody, I'm ending up in the quarterback's lap. It's going to get ugly, and I'm not going to be out there very much. So my whole thing was, I want to punch. I want to get a good punch. Now people say, well, why do you punch? Let's put this down for a second. Why do you punch? Well, the thing is, back in the late 70s, Coach Radakovich was teaching this for the Steelers during the Super Bowl years, and then Raleigh Dotch started teaching the pass blocking through punching. And what punching does is it stops the initial movement of the player, and it makes him restart. So if Dougie's throwing a move, go ahead and throw a move. You come in to stop. Okay, now if you get a punch on him, you jam him in the chest, he's got to restart. So what would be great is the guy would swim, try to swim, boom, punch, and then he'd stop. Okay, now I've got to restart. All right. One of the things The next thing that started teaching me was you've got to punch at different angles. I mean, although we'll sit here and we'll demonstrate it straight in, very rarely is that the case. But you're punching, you punch it down, you punch it out, you punch it to the side, and what your body needs to do, what your upper body needs to do, is get used to punching at different angles. So the next sequence on the punch drill would be a punch high and a punch low. So you're high and low, same thing, and it'd be all right, real quick and real sharp. Once again, concentrating on the lats. That's where you want to generate your power. Getting the good flexibility in your heel, your hands, that's where you're getting the penetration. All right, we get used to punching low and punching high. Then the next sequence in the punch drill would be punching opposite corners. All right, and that's so. Let's get over here. So actually, what I'm doing is I'm getting used to punching right hand high, left hand low. All right, and this is once again punching into different angles is what gives you the muscular endurance and just getting used to punching. One of the reasons, guys, another reason that a guy doesn't want to punch is because he's not used to punching. I mean, we would drill this over and over and over and over again. So now the punching aspect of this is becomes second nature. It's just part of it. And so we would do the second sequence, the third sequence would be punching opposite corners, same thing, 15 seconds on, 15 seconds off, rest, let the next guy go. Then working the opposite corners. Now, the next sequence in the punch drill would be it's like a double punch, but working opposite corners. So it's same thing. It's getting used to a quick hammering piston like punching and working the out. Once again, you're getting used to your hands working a little bit independently of each other. The next problem that I used to have was it was like my hands were tied together. All right? Let's put this down for 1 second, Dougie. So if Dougie's a pass rusher and I'm set up for a pass and he knocks one of my hands down, it was like my other hand would follow. You know, for some reason, it was like they were on the same wavelength. And Sarge used to say, you've got to get used to doing punching independently of each other. That way, if one hand gets knocked down, if he knocks down one hand, the other one comes in, and you still got one weapon. All right, for some reason, you tie up one of my hands, both of my hands would go dead. So we worked a punch drill where now we're working all four corners. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and it's working the opposite corner. Same sequence. Three sets of punches at 15 seconds on, 15 seconds off. And this is where the bear really jumps on your back, boy. It's really starting. Your upper body is completely gassed, and you're sucking air. And something about independent punching is that when it's a whole different source of energy for an offensive tackle. Now, ideally, what I want to get is a good penetrating. I want to boom. I want to shock him. Sometimes, because you get a hand knocked down or whatever, say he knocks one of my hands down. All right. Now this is the hand, like I said, this is the hand that's got to work. But it has a different effect on this guy. Now, if you watch him coming in, now I'm going to hit him with an independent combination on different shoulders, and what that'll do is it'll rock you in a certain way where you kind of shock. Same thing. It's getting used to a quick hammering piston like punching and working the out. Once again, you're getting used to your hands working a little bit independently of each other. The next problem that I used to have was it was like my hands were tied together. All right. Let's put this down for 1 second, Dougie. So if Dougie's a pass rusher and I'm set up for a pass and he knocks one of my hands down, it was like my other hand would follow. You know, for some reason, it was like they were on the same wavelength. And Sarge used to say, you've got to get used to doing punching independently of each other. That way, if one hand gets knocked down, if he knocks down one hand, the other one comes in, and you still got one weapon. All right, for some reason, you tie up one of my hands, both of my hands would go dead. So we worked a punch drill where now we're working all four corners. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and it's working the opposite corner. Same sequence. Three sets of punches at 15 seconds on, 15 seconds off. And this is where the bear really jumps on your back, boy. It's really starting. Your upper body is completely gassed, and you're sucking air. And something about independent punching is that when it's a whole different source of energy for an offensive tackle. Now, ideally, what I want to get is a good penetrating. I want to boom. I want to shock them. Sometimes, because you get a hand knocked down or whatever, say he knocks one of my hands down. All right. Now this is the hand, like I said, this is the hand that's got to work. But it has a different effect on this guy. Now, if you watch him coming in, now I'm going to hit him with an independent combination on different shoulders. And what that'll do is it'll rock you in a certain way where it kind of shocks you. Sarge used to tell me that in boxing, if you feel like you're getting bored in on it, if you just start throwing them, the guy that you're playing, the way the sight lines work, it just for an instant makes your body stop and say, okay, whoa, I see a bunch of movement. What is it that's going on here? So when he's coming in, see now that, what that does is it's still penetrating, it's still shocking, but it has a little different effect. Now he's getting rocked a little bit in different angles, and it's kind of he sees a lot of movement coming at him, and it causes you to just pause for a second and kind of say, okay, now what am I going to do? I'm getting jacked here. There's a nice jackhammer effect here. So it's causing the defensive lineman to stop and rethink, and it's also just shocking the heck out of him. Thanks. I appreciate it. Thanks. You all right? Oh, you don't go far. I'm going to use you in a couple minutes. All right. The second. Also, another thing is recoil is very important. As we look at and this works for tackles more. Centers and guards, obviously, and we were talking about this last night. When you get a nice penetrating punch in, you want to keep what you have. Like we were talking about last night, you've got that penetration, you've got them worked in here, and you want to keep your hands on them and work them as you go. For a tackle, especially working on the wide guy, separation is a good thing because we work what we used to call the vertical line. And if this guy's out here, he's not a threat to me right now. When he crosses that line, that's where he gets a threat. So when he comes in, at the point of impact, boom, I want to punch, and I will pull my hands back. If you talk to good fighters, they'll tell you that recoiling their punch, getting ready to, pulling it back, is more important than actually throwing it out there because you want to get ready to punch again. So it's very important that after you punch, when you do these drills, you don't just leave your hands out there, so you recoil. So they're loaded, okay? So the gun's loaded once again. The second part of this program is called the trapping, all right? Doug, why don't you come up here again? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to send you back so far. One of the things that'll start happening is when you start punching, at least when I start punching and I start carrying my hands kind of high, now guys are thinking, okay, put your hands up high and punch. All right, now what do I see there? I see an opening in the chest and I'm thinking bull rush, all right? And they're looking at me, being light in the butt, and they're going, bull rush. I want to run this guy back into the quarterback. Well, and most times when a guy's getting bull, they're bull rushing. Guys are trying to fight, they're fighting, trying to get back. But one of the things that Sarge told me is the thing that makes a bull rush so effective is the leverage and the bridge, the arm being the bridge. And he used to say, if there is no bridge, there is no bull rush. And if you look around the league and you watch, and I would imagine this is true in college too, most guys bull rush like this, with their feet way behind them and their hips not under them at all, because what? They want to get leverage. They want to get you back in the quarterback's lap. So what Sarge used to tell me is you want to start eliminating that bridge. And so as hard as we punch, and as much as we want to punch, sometimes we miss the punch. And sometimes we're slow. And sometimes the guy's boring in on you so quick, you don't react fast enough, and he's got leverage. Okay, Dave. So now Dougie's coming in, and he is starting to bull rush me, and I'm losing ground. Obviously, he's bigger and stronger than I am, and I'm going to end up in the quarterback's lap. Now, he's got his hands on me, and what I want to do is remove the hands. This is where the concept of Wing Chun comes in, or trapping hands. He's boring in on me now. Can you all see this? He's coming in hands on me, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to watch out, so I'll catch him. Let's take this off. When he's coming in on me, what I want to do is remove the bridge. Now, it's basically just knocking his hands down, although it's not that simple a technique. Once again, we want the energy here generated from the lats, and I want it, my aiming point, I want it to be up near his elbow, okay? I don't want it to be close to the wrist, because if I try to knock his hands down and I miss, I'm dead. All I'm doing is pulling his strength into my weakness, basically, and I'm pulling myself back into the quarterback. But when I go further, closer to the elbow, what I'm doing, I have a lot less chance of missing, and also I have more control. If you look, if I've got him here, I really don't have control. But if I have elbow, I've got a lot more control. So when he's coming in, he's pouring in on me, all right, I'm coming back. All right, what I'm going to do now, go ahead, I'm not going to hurt him, I'm not going to, he's coming, see, Dougie and I go way back, so as he's pushing, I'm coming in, okay, and I'm now moving the bridge. And once again, it goes back to, did you see the head snap? That's what tells you it's effective. And the beauty of this is that after you trap a guy, the first thing that'll hit normally is his chin, because he's not prepared for this movement. See, right now, when Dougie's locked up, he thinks he's got leverage, he thinks I'm going for a ride, and he's going to get a sack, and he's going to get up and go, me, right? All right, well, what this is doing is totally, number one, catching him off guard. He's not prepared for this. And the second thing it does is bringing his head to down here. And what makes this such a beautiful thing is that now you've got his head, the back of his head, the back of his shoulders under you, and then boom, you follow up with the punch. And then you get him on the ground, you knee him, you elbow him, you drive him into the dirt, because hey, you're creating dominance. Alright? You know as well as I do that those defensive linemen can't wait to play at the quarterback, and someone told offensive linemen that they need to be passive in their pass blocking, and I'm saying no, you don't have to be. This is a way to be dirty, not dirty, but nasty, physical. I don't like that word dirty. I don't believe in offensive linemen. You know, it's already rush blocking against those genetic mutations over there, and it's already no contest. But anyway, so once you get a guy, so he's coming in, coming down, all right, and then you work him down, drive him into the ground. Now we work these one after another. Now his forearms, if I'm doing this right, his forearms are getting really sore because it's a very biting movement. I mean, if you guys try it, it's a different thing. It penetrates the forearm. It feels like a baseball bat whacking on your forearm. And guys, I'm telling you what, it's so destructive that you can physically abuse a guy afterwards. Now sometimes, for the shorter guys, they're not going to be able to trap a big, tall guy like Doug. The opposite of the trap is what's called a wedge. Now, a wedge, to be honest with you, I would practice it always, but for every 20 traps I threw, I might throw one wedge. But now other guys that I've trained really like the wedge better because they're naturally low-body guys and they're squat monsters. And the wedge, and now he's a taller guy and he's got me up here on my shoulder. Now I'm not going to be able to come over that and trap it. So the wedge is coming up and hitting the elbows, inside of the elbows, and it's the same thing. The movement is like knocking your hair out of your eyes. And once again, this is generated by the lats, and it's a quick movement that it's not my English isn't the greatest, like Jim said, I was born in Turkey, but kill me like that and you want a nice compact move, okay? You don't need a gross movement because all I need to do is I need to get his hands off me, and what the tendency is for guys to want to do this, okay? Now that's wasted movement. All I want to do is come up here because then I want to punch right after. Because everything that Sarge taught me that we do starts with a punch and ends with a punch. It always starts with a punch and ends with a punch. The trap and the wedge and these other movements are part of it, and when the punch doesn't work or misses or is caught, all right, then you're going to the trap and you're going to the wedge, and then you're punching over it though, because you always come back to the point. So when you're trapping, you come down. See, I don't need to trap any further than this because my hands are ready to punch. So a lot of the drills we'll do that we'll put together, we'll trap it, we'll punch it, we'll trap it. So now, when you're working a defensive lineman, you're shaking him around, you're jacking him, you're throwing him around. He doesn't know he's getting different types of attack that he's really not sure. I tell you what, when you start trapping a guy and he falls on his face, he don't want to bull rush you anymore because he's embarrassed. He just got buried. All right, and they don't want to bull rush anymore. They start rushing kind of hard. The next thing in the series of that is called the sweep.
Hey, on the wedge, what's the landmark?
The landmark is always the same. It's right around, if you were to do a diameter around your forearm, it's right before it hits the elbow. So the closer you get to the elbow, the more it hurts. All right? And the less chance you have of missing, and the more control you have. And it's just, and as you watch me, it's just like, you know how you knock your hair out of your eyes? That's the movement. Just like this. And the rotation is what causes the pain on the forearm. The rotation on the trap down and the rotation on the wedge up is what causes the pain. And believe me, you start working your guys, and when I was working with Max guys, after about 6-7 hits, they're all going, man, I don't want to do this anymore. But you know, don't worry, because the nerve endings in your arm eventually die from this, and then you can just keep whacking the heck out of each other, and it doesn't, you build up the tolerance to it. The last in the sequence is called the sweep. Okay? Now the sweep works great more for pass blocking, or more for run blocking than it does for pass blocking. But it works especially good on waggles or sprint protection. Say I want to get this guy hooked up on me. I want to get him hooked, but Doug's got me hooked. I'll turn my back here. Doug's got me hooked, and I'm trying to, and he's working, you know, like a defensive end, he'll straighten it out. All right, now a trap is kind of like a side. A sweep is kind of like a side trap. So he's got me in like this. He's got control. I'm still trying to get it. Now I come across it and I sweep him. All right, and he loses his. Now where he had control and he had leverage, it was just replaced by me. And it's simple. Once again, it's the key to this. All these movements is all in the torque, which is generated from the lats. And so once again, I'll show you real quick. He's got me. He's out. I'm going to come in, and now I have dropped the mic, yeah. Anyhow, thanks, brother. Let's see here. We're going to do something. All right, the next portion of what we were doing is called the hand sensitivity. And okay, now guys are trying to knock my hands down. All right, I'm punching guys. You're punching guys. You guys are punching guys. The defensive ends are go defensive ends. Sometimes it takes defensive linemen a little while to figure it out. Most defensive linemen I know will not change their pass rush against the guy. What they'll do is they're going to do what they. I have dropped the mic, yeah. Anyhow, thanks, brother. Let's see here. We're going to do something. All right, the next portion of what we were doing is called the hand sensitivity. And okay, now guys are trying to knock my hands down. All right. I'm punching guys, you're punching guys, you guys are punching guys, the defensive ends are go defensive ends. Sometimes it takes defensive linemen a little while to figure it out. Most defensive linemen I know will not change their pass rush against the guy. What they'll do is, they're going to do what they do best. Well, heck, I got there on a club last time, I'm going to keep clubbing, or I'm going to keep ripping, or whatever. But what started happening after a while is guys would want to knock my hands down. And so what would happen a lot of times is he'd knock my hands down, my hands would go down, and now I would have nothing. But we started doing this next program, or this next workout, which was called the hand sensitivity. And really this is best done with your eyes closed to get a feel of it, because it's too easy to cheat with your eyes open, and it's too easy to see something that's not there. So I've got my hands on him, or you put your hands on me. What I'm going to do is I'm going to knock his hands down right in front of me, okay? I'm not going to, this isn't one of those conditioning workouts where it's generated to suck the air out of you. But this is a feel thing. What I want to teach guys to do, and what Sarge taught me, was to roll your hands, as I put it now, I want you to knock one of mine down. Roll around, kind of like mercury, like in the meter, coming right off, right there. So you're coming off faster, there you go. And get the feel of rolling that hand around. So your hands are light when they're in space, and they're heavy upon impact. And as soon as you feel something on them, you want to roll back. And what I start doing is doing like this one, and just start working it, one at a time, for 30 seconds, a minute at a time. Working each hand independently, and then start changing it. Okay, now I'm changing. I'm doing the same hand 3 times, and maybe the other hand once, and just working it so the guy gets used to it. It's very important to do this eye close to get used to that hand sensitivity. So when you're working in the circles, once again, all the movements, need to be very compact and very concise. You don't want any gross movements because you want to be back. Once again, he knocks my hands down. I want to be back center and I want to punch him. And eventually, we throw all these things together, and it's not just a hand wrapped around. It's now my hand comes down, boom, and I'm punching over, boom, I'm punching over, and it all goes back to the punch. But this is used to guys are trying to knock your hands down. The next thing that guys would say, but Tunch, guys are grabbing my hands. As you get your hands up, a big move that guys do out there, like I said, once again, I don't know how much you do in college, but guys will come up and they'll pick the hands up and they'll walk into the quarterback. It's a very vulnerable position. And what guys try to do, and I used to do this too, is you got my hands and you're walking me back. I'm trying to pull him back, and all I'm doing is getting him closer to the quarterback. Now, as I grab his hands, and he tries to pull him out, he can't pull him out because I've got hold of him. Now, but if you notice, whenever someone grabs hands, there's a gap right here between the thumb and the forefinger. And it's really a simple matter of leverage. All you need to do is rotate your hand down, and it breaks. Really, now watch that. Just breaks. I'm not even really trying to hold it real hard, Dougie. It eventually will break the gap right there. And if you do it hard, when he's got me up here, if you throw it down, now hold him real tight, and you once again, you throw him down. He's following and he's going down because he's so hard and holding out to that so hard that he's got your hands and he wants them. So what literally happens is when a guy's got your hands, you throw him down, and he follows, or he's got to let go. Either way, he's going to either go down or he's going to be in a vulnerable position for you to finish up. And the last thing that we do is centerline training. Okay, centerline training is simply this. One of the problems I had early on too is that I thought the chest was the center line. All right, so when I'm playing a guy, if he spins, go ahead and spin. My hands would follow his chest, and I would fall off it. Can you hear me? Sorry, there we go. I would fall off of it. And so what the program teaches is the center line is like there's a pole that has been driven through the opponent's head and comes out his butt. That is the center line. So now, as my hands are on Doug's chest, if he does a quarter turn one way, this is now the center line. Now, what was very effective in centerline training with my hands horizontal here, side by side, okay, now on the side, no longer becomes so because as Doug leans into me, go ahead, lean. See, he has split my hands. So it's very important that on a quarter turn, now my hands are vertical, okay? And the closer down I have on his elbow by his hip, the more control I have. This I don't have as much control as this. See, the hip, like you guys know, the body goes where the hip goes. My hand's on his elbow, I've got control right here. Now if he took quarter turns more, go ahead and know. Now I'm back to horizontal, now turn back. So we do these drills independently. You're getting to use, so put your, now you be the offensive guy. Okay, so I'm moving here, right, and I'm back. That's good. Sorry. That's good. Now watch the drill, go ahead. Okay. Now, the thing I don't like about it is when the hands are horizontal, that's when you get that's where you penetrate the hand movement. But we would do this for a minute at a time or 30 seconds at a time, getting the movement with the hand placement. So you're always, once again, and then you start mixing these things up together. You do the, can you all hear me without this thing? Can you hear me in the back? Good, I can use it. Then what happens is you start mixing them together. You do the sensitivity with the centerline training, with the punches, and it all becomes one. Thanks, the last part of the program, or of this program, is the footwork aspect of it. Now, I know that a lot of, if you talk to 4 different offensive line coaches, they're going to have a little different opinion on how to work footwork drills. But the thing that Sarge taught me was that for true power,
for true strength at that point of contact, whether it's a two-gap pass rusher who's right on you, or whether it's a wide guy, you got to have both your feet in the ground at the same time. And when I first started playing as a wide guy, I used to want to get a real big jump and really cut this distance, because this is Lawrence Taylor or Charles Mann or somebody that's going to burn up the corner that I really want to get on quick. And Sarge said, no, I'll tell you what, 2 quick little steps will beat 1 long step anytime. And when I watch you play, he says, I see you doing this. You are reaching to stop a guy. So if a guy's ramming on me on the right tackle and the defensive end is doing a ram charge, I'm reaching to cut him off, which puts me in a weak position 2 ways at the point of impact, because I'm reaching, I haven't the weight distribution just yet, and also if he clubs back, I've got that foot in the air, and I'm not ready to block him. What Sarge used to say was, you want to be able to push off, fire, and have the weight distribution. So if I'm like here, and we do these simple boxers trips, so you're on the balls of your feet, okay? So when I'm cutting a guy off here, I'm pushing to cut him off, okay? I'm not reaching, I'm pushing. And because so many athletes play basketball, when I start showing them this drill, what they want to do is they want to do this. Now watch my feet. They want to do that. And what they're doing is they're clicking their heels, all right? And they're getting 2 feet, they're getting their feet together. So once again, so when I start setting up these drills, I see a lot of this. They want to catch up. They want to catch up when they're doing the drills. Sarge would say that when we would work a 2-step drill, where you just get used to firing off, so your feet and your hands are working in unison. The other thing he used to say is, see with your hands, think with your feet. So you're really thinking with your feet. So you're pushing off to cut off. So when we start doing these drills, it's a matter of getting used to pushing off. So the weight distribution is right where it needs to be. So if I'm right here and I'm sitting out and the guy's moving inside, okay, I'm pushing back to get him. Okay, I'm not reaching back. So there's no wasted movement. And if my right leg, my right foot is moving 4 inches or 3 inches, that's all the more that my left foot should move, okay? Because when I would get in trouble, it was 2 things. When my feet would get firing off, so your feet and your hands are working in unison. The other thing he used to say is, see with your hands, think with your feet. So you're really thinking with your feet. So you're pushing off to cut off. So when we start doing these drills, it's a matter of getting used to pushing off. So the weight distribution is right where it needs to be. So if I'm right here and I'm sitting out and the guy's moving inside, okay, I'm pushing back to get him. Okay, I'm not reaching back. So there's no wasted movement. And if my right leg, my right foot is moving 4 inches or 3 inches, that's all the more that my left foot should move, okay? Because when I would get in trouble, it was 2 things. When my feet would get close together, or when my feet would get real wide apart. Now, there'll be times in the pass rush where you will take a step you don't want to step. But if you're thinking with your feet, and if you're pushing off to cut off, guys, your feet always catch up to where they need to be. You may have a bucket step, or you may have a bad step. So the guy's way out, and you're going, oh boy, I want to get out here. But you click your heels for a second. If you're used to doing the footwork drill, you're back out here, okay? And now you're back to where you want to be. So the weight distribution is always where it needs to be. Drills that we do on this, 2 minutes at a time to start off. Parallel stance 1, just side to side. Get used to the feel. Most guys have trouble with that feel because they're so used to doing it the opposite way. And now some guys pick it up real quick, but for some guys, so it's just get used to pushing. And also when you teach your guys to do this drill, if they're going to loaf in the drill, because it's a 2-minute long drill, gas is the leg, have them loaf in between. So the step they take, make it a quick one. The step they take. And then we go to 2 steps, so it's back and forth. So it's you're getting your feet in the ground at the point of impact. And we do this side to side, and we do this back and forth as well. So 1, 2, and I do it with different leads. Even if you're a right tackle, it's good to work with a left lead as a left tackle as well. And so we would do that, and we'd work the line. Okay, we'd work the line, and have some of these other stuff incorporate the other stuff. Was what Max guys were doing. They were working the line with the hand sensitivity. They were working the line with the center line training. Well, that's it in a nutshell. I know I threw a lot of stuff at you. If you guys have any questions or you want to know anything, let me know.
You talked a little bit about the plus of punching rather than grabbing and holding? When
Well-
you train yourself initially.
Well, my whole thing was the punch is everything. You know, I learned that early in my career. I had success early in my career. I only held on run blocking. I never held on pass blocking, or very rarely, only when I was losing a guy and I had to yank him down. But to me, at my height and size, if I grab a hold of a guy, I'm going for a ride. If I'm trying to dance with him, I'm going for a ride. And the thing that punching does is it puts me on the attack, okay? It puts me on the attack. And the only way that I'm going to punch effectively is if I punch over and over and over again. And what happens is, if you put your guys in a situation to win, like you do it over and over in individual, before you get to one-on-ones, because what happens is, when you go to one-on-ones, now you want to win, and you throw everything out the window. I'm throwing out, I want to win, all right, I want to win. And even a guy that's punched over and over and over again, if a guy knocks his hand, if I get beat early in pass rush in a game, sometimes I'm going, uh-oh, what'd I do wrong? Now I want to go back to that security blanket, that cloth. That's what I want to grab. So the more you rep it, especially in individual, before you get to the one-on-ones, and really this program is really not a Band-Aid. It's like you get out of it what you put into it. As a guy that did it, I did it for 10 off seasons. And that doesn't mean that you need to do it for 10 off seasons to pick it up. My last year in '93, I was with Green Bay, and Rich Moran picked it up in 2 weeks, just in training camp. You know, I worked a little bit after practice with him, and he loved it. He was snatching guys and drilling them, punching. Kenny Rutgers, who became a very good friend of mine. He was a guy that always wanted to cross monitor. He always wanted to stick his hand and ride a guy and goes, Kenny, cut the other arm off. You're not using it. You know, and then Kenny started punching. He started picking up and feeling very, very comfortable with it. But it's something that you got to do over and over and over again. And one of the things that I would do is I would drill it in walkthrough, okay? I mean, I'm playing with the guys in walkthrough. I'm not trying to drill them, but I'm playing with it. I'm always thinking, okay, in between sets in the weight room, I'm drilling it. I always work on it. You know, you could do this on a heavy bag by yourself if you got nobody else to work with. I was always working on a heavy bag, working it, and just trying to get into the mindset where you got to get to the point where you're afraid not to punch and realize that if I punch this guy, I'm going to wire him. And one thing about this is, if I can do this, anybody can do it. I mean, anybody can do it. You know, I don't care how. I mean, I'm a little bitty guy initially by this league standard, not athletic, not quick, but I can do it. If I can do it, your guys can do it. Anybody else? Yes.
They take on the outside swim technique if you don't extend your arms.
Well, it's still an extension. It's just not see, what happens is when you extend too much, you start hyperextending your elbows. Early in my career, when I was punching at 100% extension, I had a lot of elbows problems. I was getting a lot of cortisone shots in my elbows because of tendonitis and the bursitis lumbati. When I get to this point right here, it's still, the extension is more powerful and stronger, and it's still, I don't care what he's doing. Because you hit a guy in the chest when he's swimming. I tell you what, swim guys are cake for this program. I mean, swim guys, you start licking your chops. Guy swims, boom, because he comes out there like a popcorn fart. I mean, I'm not kidding you. He's backflipping. Because he's off balance, you know. Same thing if you talk about a rip. A guy rips, a good ripper, I'm always looking at that right hand. I'm gonna catch the rip. Dougie, will you come up here again? I'm gonna catch the rip before I'm gonna punch the rip. All right, number one, if I miss the rip on the punch, then I'm going to trap the rip. If I miss the trap, then I'm going to kidney punch. Okay, so as he's throwing the rip, go ahead and throw the rip. Now go ahead and throw it like you did. Go ahead and throw it like you did. I want to punch him right there, okay? Now stop the rip. Now say I'm slow. Now he's sitting, now the rip is coming. Go ahead, rip is coming. Now I want to trap it like that, okay? Now I'm coming across his forearm with my elbow, which is really smart, especially if I hit his forearm with my elbow. And then the third thing is now I missed all three. Now he's got that rip in and he's boring in on me. Okay, see the kidneys are exposed, and this is the most vulnerable area. Really, it's a beautiful thing. I'm telling you what, and this is a good thing to work heavy on a heavy bag, just doing open palm hooks on a heavy bag. Because now he's right here. I'm not going to get you tense up your thing. The kidneys are exposed, and this is the most vulnerable area. Really, it's a beautiful thing. I'm telling you what, and this is a good thing to work heavy on a heavy bag, just doing open palm hooks on a heavy bag. Because now he's right here. I'm not going to get you tense up your thing. I'm going to boom. I want to hit that, and what happens is your legs say, nope, I ain't doing it. your legs stop. When you get a kidney punch, your legs stop.
So Tunch, you don't just push, lock out, and ride. Everything you do
Now,
is hard.
I would never want to just place my hand on anybody or anything. If I'm going to put my hand there, I'm going to drill it. Because what? We learned right away that just that much is penetrating. Believe it, you guys are going, I mean, that much is penetrating. You get a guy and you pop him, and you never, so guys right there, and I was telling a couple of coaches last night, we were playing the Bears back in like 90, and me and Terry Long, right guard, screwed up the protection. I looked right, he looked left, he was blocking wall left, I was blocking wall left. Steve McMichael out of the corner of my eye is going free. Now a lot of this was luck, but a lot of it was just the fact of punching over and over again. So I see him out of the corner of my eye, and he's coming free, and I just throw a punch out like that. Now, I timed it right. He was cross-legged when I hit him in the shoulder, and he went down. But the thing is, when you're punching at different angles, and your mindset is now, I'm not monitoring like this. Like, I'm not going to put my hand here and hold him. I'm going to put my hand here and hold him. You know, and so always whack it. You never put a hand on a guy without trying to do some damage. Thanks a lot, guys. It was a lot of fun.